you're right above me. You're right. You're like right above me. There's like 3.
Did you fall through a hole?
Yeah.
Alright, jump out.
I mean, you can fly us to C.
Oh. Oh, okay.
Wait, I'm so bad at this game. No. What?
Or maybe not.
I am probably dead here. Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
Oh my god.
Drop me off.
Drop them off, and then I'll come back over and I'll revives.
If you go a little bit higher, I just parachute. Looks fine. See ya!
Wait, I'm so stupid.
Ooh.
I could have self-revived.
Yeah, press it.
Yeah, it's too late now.
Oh my god.
I
How high are
forgot because like I couldn't do it when I was in.
Hey guys, Be More here with another Ghost Recon Ghost War video. Today we're going to talk about why the raid is a current problem for PvP players. I know what you're thinking. How does this raid apply to PvP players? But it does in a big way. Anyway, let me know what you think about this down in the comments. Please remember to like, share, and subscribe, as that really helps me out and grows my channel. I am so close to 100 subscribers. Reaching that milestone would be absolutely crazy. Anyway, let's dive right in. Let me go ahead and say, yes, this raid is not for everyone. And this video might not be for everyone at first, but if you play PvP and you come to my channel, then you know somehow this is going to come back to Ghost War and just the game in general. This isn't a raid bashing video, but more of an objective view of the activity and in its current state, how it affects the player. So yes, the raid has some small problems. Of course, the big one being that the raid is not really fitting with the overall team brand that Ghost Recon has built over the decades, along with the mechanics that make it hard to teach anybody without a microphone. So unless you have 3 other hardcore raiders, then you are subject to the Russian roulette matchmaking or LFG tools outside of the video game itself. Let me tell you what, using LFG past Tuesday is harsh. So I recommend if you are LFGing at any point at all for this game for the raid, I recommend Tuesday, because that is when the majority of raiders raid, as it's the only constant activity there is in the game at the moment. So let's say you finally do find a team of 4 and hopefully they all have mics, and if they are experienced, you probably run through the raid in about an hour or an hour and a half on average. If you're going through matchmaking, just finding a team with mics and experience as requirements could easily spend 2 hours before you even open the front door. This leads to people taking people in the group without microphones. While the raid is doable without microphones, I would only recommend it for the most experienced players. When the raid was first released, people were speedrunning in the raid in like below 40 minutes. I'll call these the glory days, when you could find experienced groups through matchmaking, but currently there are more new people in matchmaking versus the vets. Then we had 3+ months of DMR glitchers, not teaching the mechanics to anyone using matchmaking. So here we are almost 6 months out of the game's release, and you have an entire raid community that have basically learned only using the DMR glitch. So we have a vicious cycle of people leaving groups, not experienced, and not willing to teach other new players because they are used to using the DMR glitch in general. It's sad, but it's the current state of the raid. Not easily accessible for the average player by any means. Just a note too, let's say you use the Ubisoft friend pass and invite 3 friends, get them geared up and take them through the raid. There's still no guarantee you get what you want. As an example, for this video I wanted Echelon gloves. Guess what? After 3 weeks, no dice. Anyway, let's continue. I think talking about the Echelon gloves is a good segue into my next topic. As a primarily PvP player, how does this relate to PvP? Me looking for these gloves for 3 weeks is the exact problem in my eyes. I don't want to spend my time looking for people to play the raid. I want a PvP. Sure, I don't need the gloves by any means. Certainly they're not God tier. On the other hand, they are still the best bonuses in the game for PvP. So this game shouldn't have a best in slot items, but it does. 3 of them are locked behind the raid. If you include PvE, you have the Goblin and the Judge Vest added to that list. That's quite frankly like 3/5 of your loadout locked behind the raid itself. If you want to give yourself the best PvP chance, you need those field medic gloves. If you want to avoid getting injured in PvE, you will need that Judge Vest. Likewise, if you want to stack more drone evasion, the new engineer chest is probably the best in slot at the moment. Judge pants for stamina, obviously, so that's a majority of your loadout already picked and decided for you. But if you're not raiding, you won't even have access to any of these. PvP players really don't have much in terms when it comes to a substitute. The bonuses on regular armor aren't really nearly as much or impactful as well as the ones you get on raid gear. Just as well, the raid gear is a guaranteed roll, so once you get them, you no longer have to search for them. So it's sort of a god roll, but here we are talking about god rolls in Ghost Recon PvP. But anyway, let's continue. If you want to strictly talk PvP, that is fine. Not having raid gear is not going to put you at a huge disadvantage by any means. I will say, if you are anything like me, which I'm the type of player, I can't really rest until I'm on the best playing field possible, to the point where it just comes down to gun skill. If you are like that, be prepared to run the raid. If you want to be the best in PvE, you will need the Goblin, and unfortunately that's just the way it is. I don't mind there being strong weapons and things locked behind the raid itself, but can we please think about new players when it comes to terms of PvP? Like it or not, because of the friend pass, the free weekends, and the free trial, we've had a bit of new players in PvP, and they will just be kicked in the face once they realize half of their build is locked behind the raid. These raid pieces give you the flexibility in your build, also giving you the sort of framework on what to stack with your headpiece and shoes. With no substitute to get the bonuses, unless you're a raider, then you are just at a disadvantage. Not a huge disadvantage. Once again, with these problem videos, I don't want to just offer up a bunch of problems without any solutions. But I do want to give some solutions that I think could work in the framework of the game. I'm not going to bore you with a bunch of suggestions that don't make it in, but something basic that might help the developers on a small chance they are listening. The quickest suggestion would be to increase the rolls on existing gear you find in the open world. I think that could help and maybe even expand on some builds you see in the game today. Most of the rolls have a max, so it's not like you could be an invincible Terminator walking around. This is probably the easiest, and I would assume from a coding standpoint, the fastest solution I could see to supplement the raid gear that we have. It would keep the raid gear somewhat prestigious, as they could still be the absolute max. I would just like to close the gap in terms of a substitution when it comes to raid gear. Another suggestion I see from people is to make the gear cosmetic only, which I think is sort of lame. I'm not really into how my character looks as other people, so if they were just cosmetics, I probably wouldn't even be running the raid at all. We have to remember, from a developer standpoint, putting people in activities is a good thing, but not giving them motivation to do the activities is not a good thing. If it were just cosmetic gear, the raid would probably be even more dead than it is now. The last suggestion, my favorite, but also least likely to happen, which is why it's going to be very short, would be to add PvP-centric gear with some different bonuses that apply to PvP, like PvP health recovery. At the moment, health recovery is a dead stat in PvP, and we don't even need it. But hey, like I said, I don't want to spend a lot of time on things that probably won't happen. I'm just throwing out some quick suggestions. Usually this is where I would end the video, but this is just a little bonus tip, nothing big, but I did want to give a note that with or without these bonuses, you will still be a monster regardless in PvP or PvE. They won't make a good player great because it's only a tiny fraction of what makes you good in Ghost War or single player in open world. Don't think the raid is locking 100 or 200% bonus gear behind a 4-player activity. That is simply not the case. The bonuses are just the icing on the cake. I'm sure I will find out in the comments on how you feel about this, because it is a problem, but probably bigger than I'm blowing it up. Just coming from immersive mode, I would like to see new players have a chance at some of the raid gear, or at least be able to more closely compete in Ghost War. Coming out of immersive mode is a topic I will save for another day, or another video. Anyway guys, let me know what you think about in the comments, and until the next one, be more.
Oh my goodness gracious.
Got a bad guy over here.
Woo!
Enemies down. Only one hostile left standing.
I got you.